Parshat VaYigash. Okay, VaYigash is, it's a little bit surprising, really, that it's a separate Torah portion on its own, because it's basically just a continuation of last week. And in fact, the whole thing just starts off with the letter Vav. In other words, that it's just a continuation of last week's story. In a way, it's the conclusion of last week's story. What is last week's story? That the brothers come down to Mitzrayim. All of them come down to Mitzrayim in order to buy food. There's a famine in the world. And they all come down to Mitzrayim to buy food. And Yosef treats them very strangely. And he accuses them of being spies, and he takes Shimon, he puts him into prison, and he says, go back and bring your younger brother. And they all go back and they bring the younger brother, and they find that there's money in their sacks. And they come back with Benjamin. He said, don't worry that you have money. It's okay. Don't worry about it. No problem. No, this is your younger brother. Wonderful. Good to see you. Now I see you're all telling the truth. Okay, goodbye. And they all leave. And suddenly one of Yosef's messengers runs after them and says, one of you stole the cup. Come back. It takes them all back. Says, one of you stole my cup. Who stole the cup? They look and they see, who was it? Benjamin. It was in Benjamin's. So they're all saying, wow, what's going to be now? Benjamin doesn't come back. Our father is going to go crazy. He's going to be... Right? We talked about this in the morning. So that's how this week's Torah portion starts off. Yosef in last week's Torah portion announced, let's go back over here. Here, this is the beginning of this week's portion. VaYigash of Yehuda. Yehuda approached Yosef. That's the end of last week's. So it says here, they looked for the cup, looked for the cup. And they found it in Amtachat Benjamin. There it goes. Opa. Oh, here they find. They found the cup in the pouch of Benjamin. This is the end of last week, right? And they all tore their garments, and they put each on his the wagon. They put everything back on their donkeys. They knew they could never get away, and they went back to the city. And Yehuda and his brothers came to the house of Yosef. He was still there, and they fell on the ground. They're innocent. They didn't steal anything. Nobody stole. And they said, Yosef said, "What is this that you're doing? Right? Don't you know that I do all sorts of sorcery and things like that until the future with this cup? I need the cup. What'd you steal my cup for?" And Yehuda said, "Listen, what can we say? How can we possibly speak to you? What can we do to justify ourselves? God has found our sin, and now we're all going to be slaves to you. Okay, we're going to be slaves. Also us, and also the one who found They can't go back empty-handed. So they figure it's better we'll all be prisoners over here altogether." And Yosef says, no, God forbid, I'm not going to do anything like that. The person that has the cup in his hand, he's going to be a slave. And you can go back home to your father. You can go back home to your father. That's where last week's Torah portion ended. Right? That's where it ended. Now we start this week's Torah portion. VaYigash of Yehuda. Yehuda approached Yosef. Now Yehuda, if you remember, Yehuda, he was the one that finally convinced his father. Yaakov said, "I'm not going to send Benjamin. He's going to die." And Yehuda finally said, listen, father, we're all going to die. Well, we haven't got anything to eat. So his father sort of wanted to not to rely on people. He didn't want to rely on Yosef. He said, listen, God will do some sort of a miracle. We'll get food. Don't worry about it. And all the other brothers said, listen, father, it's not working. It's not working. We can see that we're just getting hungry and hungry. The food is going. Everybody in the world is starving. Why is it going to be different for us? Let's just go down. There's no big thing. We'll go down there with Benjamin. You see, we already went down there and we came back, and we can go again. It's not so difficult to go down there and come back. The person is approachable, the king over there, little knowing that it's their brother. So now they go down and they bring their brother Benjamin against their father's wishes. And the father now, he's really worried. Their father is back there. He's really worried. And what's going to be? Am I going to lose maybe all my sons? VaYigash love Yehuda. So Yehuda approaches Yosef. Vayomer says, Bi Adoni. Okay, Bi Adoni, please, my master. Rashi doesn't even explain what this Bi Adoni means. In Chassidut, there's a lot of explanations of Bi Adoni. Bi means in me, Adoni. And the Chassidut is speaking about the idea of the Mashiach, that inside of me, inside of Yehuda, it's going to, and his Bi means please. Yedaber na'avdecha, let your servant, speaking to himself, speak in the ears of my master. And don't get mad at your servant, because you are like Pharaoh. Okay, like Pharaoh. Now what's going to happen? Yehuda is going to repeat the whole entire story, which Yosef already knows the story. He's going to repeat the whole entire story. And the main point of the story is that we have a father, and our father is very delicate. And if I don't return back with my brother, my father's going to die. Please have mercy. We didn't steal the cup. We don't know how the cup got here. We have no idea. Just please have mercy. So it says, VaYigash, I love Yehuda. These words are really sort of extra. It could have just said, Vayomer Yehuda. Yehuda speg. What does it mean, VaYigash? That Yehuda approached him. Obviously, if he spoke to him, he approached him. It was like facing him, at least. What did he have to approach? What is the idea of approaching him? VaYigash. That's the name of the whole Torah portion. VaYigash. Rashi. VaYigash yikansu yidaber dabra ozni adoni. Let my words go into your ears. What does it mean? my words should go into your ears. In other words, please understand them. Al yichar, don't be angry. From here we learn she diber alav kashot. Why would you think he would be angry? Yosef would be angry. He's taking their brother from them. He said, please don't be angry. So it must be that Yehuda was speaking forcefully. And he said, Ki kamocha kaparo, you're like Paro. You are, in my eyes, like this king. That's a simple meaning. You're the king. What's the Midrash? The Midrash said, you are like Paro. What does it mean, you're like Paro? Yehuda was saying, listen, you're going to get punished. So that you're going to get punished, but Sorat, with leprosy, just like Paro got smitten by means of Sora. Remember the story that Paro, when Avram had to go down, right in the beginning of Parshas Lech Lecha, that Avram had to, God told him to go into the land of Canaan, and he went there and there wasn't anything to eat. And he had to go down to Egypt. When he went down to Egypt, as Paro abducted Sora, Avram's wife, he said, she's not my wife, she's my sister. So it says, Paro, back then, my grandmother, I guess my great grandmother already, she was, when Paro tried to take her, as he got smitten with leprosy, and he only wanted to have her for one night. And now you want to take all of us permanently, so you're going to get like Paro. That's another explanation. Davar acher, another explanation. Ma Paro, just like Paro goes Vein Makayim, he makes decrees and he doesn't keep them. Mavtiach, he makes promises, Vein also, and he doesn't do anything. Afat Haken, it's the same thing with you. You promised that what? That you were going to take care of us. B'chizu he simas ein ayin shamarta l'sum einecha alav. That you said you were going to put your eye on him. We'll talk about this in 1 second. There's going to be a big argument about this also. Davar acher ki kamocha kaparo. You're like Paro. Im haktatani, that if you make me angry, arogatcha, I'll kill you and I'll kill Paro. You and Paro are the same. What's this thing about putting my eye on him? What's this thing? Let's see a second. Watch this. You asked your servant, do you have a father or a brother? We answered back. We answered back to my master, in other words, to you, Yosef. He wants to call him in the third person. We have an old father, and he has a child of his old age. He's very small. And our father has a small child. He's our little brother. And he had a brother that died. Now, who was the brother that died? Yosef. Now, the fact is, Yehuda doesn't know if Yosef is dead or not. He has no idea if he's dead. He sold him into the hands of the Midyanim. As far as as Yehuda goes, he doesn't know. Is he dead? It could be that he's still alive. It could be that he's dead. The Yivater hu levado, and he remained alone, and levado, to his mother, and his father loves him. So what does it mean? Rashi explains that this, we told you before that we have a little brother, and he's the only son left to his mother, to Rachel. And his father loves him a lot, because that was the main intention why he went down to Haran. He worked for Lavan, was only to have children from Rachel. All that's left of all those plans is just Benjamin. And you said to us, to your servants, bring him to me, bring this little boy down to me, and I'll put my eye on him. Okay, now Rashi explains what does it mean, I'll put my eye on him. It means I'll take care of him. There's a little bit of an argument over here. What exactly is the intention? Ibn Ezra says, I'll put my eye on him, means that I will see him. The Ramban disagrees. Omar Rebbe Avram. Avram is Ibn Ezra. And Ibn Ezra is Avram. Hatam, the reason he says, again, what is Yehuda saying? Yosef, you said, bring your little brother up here, and I'll put my eye on him. What does it mean, I'll put my eye on him? Then I'll see him, says the Ibn Ezra. Ramban says, no, that's not what it means. I'll see him means, simas ayin doesn't, lo matzati, I never found anywhere in the Torah that putting an eye on somebody means just to see him. V'samti einei aleim l'tova. He brings all sorts of examples. But nadar lahem Yosef, what did he mean? I'll put my eye on him. Lachmol alav, I will have mercy on him. Bring your little brother here, and I'll treat him very well, and I'll protect him. V'im lo nizkar b'ferush kasher yikatzer sham b'kol hadavarim ha'elu asher sefer Yehuda. The Yehuda tells this whole big long story. He didn't mention that you took Shimon and put him into prison. Valila tamaraglim, and that you accused us of being spies. Atem derech Musa, why not? He said the reason was one of two reasons why I didn't mention it. Either because it's not a proper thing to do, to mention to Yosef what a big liar he was and terrible he was, or because he was afraid. He was afraid maybe it wouldn't get him mad. The Kli Yakar says something a little bit similar. He says, what does it mean that I will put my eye on him? What does it mean I'll put my eye? So it says, I will put my eye. He translates that it means I'll put my eye. In other words, I'll investigate to see if you're really telling the truth or not. Nira Lafarish, Sima's eye on this, it doesn't mean that he's going to just to see him. And it also doesn't mean that they're going to take care of him. But what does it mean? And so he doesn't agree with not the Rashi, and he doesn't agree with the Ramban. Ella, what is it that Yosef said, I will put my eye on him? Yosef said to them that by means of Binyamin, he wants to test them to see if they're telling the truth or not. Therefore, what did he want to put his eye on him? He wanted to investigate. Lirot im al yado divreim kenim. He wanted to see if what they were really saying was the truth or not. Is this really their brother? Maybe it's just some other person that he brought. He wanted to see if it's really the truth, if they even have a young brother, right? Maybe they were just lying. Okay, that's his explanation. In any case, Yosef has succeeded in driving them crazy, totally. And this is to purify them for the thing, instead of killing them. They wanted to kill him. So he could have just killed them all, right? Except for Benjamin. It could have been a big trick, right? To bring Benjamin to him. And Yosef would say, okay, now fellas, I got some news for you. I am Yosef. You tried to kill me. The only one of you that did not try to kill me was Benjamin, my brother. Maybe also Reuven, because Reuven said that he wanted to save them from his hands. Could be. But he could have said, okay, you fellows, you're my brothers. I'm not going to kill you, but I'll just put you in prison forever. He could have been doing it. Yosef could do anything that he wanted to with them. They were all his prisoners, right? So now, instead of that, Yosef is putting them through all these, making them jump through hoops and doing all these weird things, right? He says, you're spies, now you're my friends. Now I believe you, I don't believe you, bring your brother, I'll treat him well. And he's not treating him well, he's going to throw him into prison. What's going on? This is now reaching the climax. So now Yehuda is now begging for his brother. He said, Yehuda says to Yosef, we told you, Adoni, we told you your honor. The child cannot leave his father, because if he leaves his father will die. Im yazov et aviv, if he leaves his father, we are worried that maybe our father will die. Who will die? Shemait. I'm sorry. Im yazov et aviv, maybe he will die. Who will die? Not his father will die. Maybe Benjamin will die. Why? Maybe he'll die on the way. Shari imo b'derech meta, because his mother Rachel, she died on the way. She died on the drive, if you remember. Eben Ezra again does not agree. He says, why can't this is another Eben Ezra says, Perish Rabbi Avram, Umeit Aviv, his father will die. Here it says, V'azav et Aviv v'meit. No, he doesn't bring it. It must be a different one than we have. His father will die. If so, Haya Omar lo yochal avinu la'azov et bano. It should have said that our father didn't want the son to leave. V'azav et bano, that if our father leaves his son, then he'll die. So in other words, who's going to die? It says not that Yaakov will die. That is not his worry, even though that it's also a worry. But he was worried more that we told you that if we can't bring our brother here, because if we bring our brother here, he might die on the way. And we said, wait with this. And you said, if you don't bring your little brother down here, then don't come back at all. I don't want to even see you. I don't want to have anything to do with you. You're not going to see him. And it says, but it will be now. Okay, so what are you going to do? Now you're going to take Benjamin. And if we go back to our father and we tell him, though, the words of what you just said, and we just said what you just said. In other words, what, that you're going to keep Benjamin here forever? If Omar, Kig Babom, I love, when we go back immediately and we tell him that you said that our father said you didn't want to see us if we didn't bring our brother with us, and that you didn't want to send him, Shimshon, he will say, well, why didn't you just leave Shimon? Not Shimshon. Why didn't you leave Shimon in the prison and bring back Benjamin? This is the one our brother said, Shuvu Shivrul Mad Ochel, Ki lo ratza lahodot l'shalcho b'kol asher amarnu ad shedachaku orav. In other words, our father would have said, listen, if we're going to lose somebody over there, we already lost Shimon. It's enough. You're going to take Benjamin, you're going to lose him also. We don't want to. And finally, they got so hungry that they had no choice. So they brought him only because of the hunger. And our father said, okay, go down and buy a little bit of food. Our father said, okay, we've got no choice. Bring some food. And we said, listen, Father, we told you before, we can't go down. If our small brother Benjamin is with us, then we're going to go down. We can't see him, and our small brother is not with us. And here comes the big sentence. Vayomer, no, I'm sorry, a couple more sentences. Vayomer Abdechavi, our father said to us, listen, I want to explain something to you. He said, let's have a look at the situation, what's going on. You know that 2 children were born to me by my wife. 2 children. In other words, his main wife, like we said, Rachel, that was his main wife. Why? 2 children. One of them went from me, and I was told that he was eaten up by animals. And I haven't seen him up to now. I have not seen him up to now. In other words, this sort of indicates that he sort of knew that he was alive, because he said, I was told, the Omer, they told me that he was eaten, and I haven't seen him up to now. Of course, you haven't seen him. If he was eaten up, you haven't seen him. This was already, right, 20 years ago. Now you're going to take this one from me, and there'll be a tragedy, and you're going to bring my old self in bad to She'olah, to the grave. She'olah means to the grave also. Here, Akshav Keshuetzli, now when my son is with me, that's what Yaakov said to the sons. He says, first of all, don't take him, because what? There might be an asson, a tragedy, because the devil, makatrik b'shasa sakana, when you're traveling on the way, who knows what's going to happen, right? Maybe something bad will happen. That's what happened to his mother, to Benjamin's mother. And if something happens to Benjamin, what's going to be with me? It says, now when Benjamin is by me, as I am comforted by him, on his mother and Rachel, and on his brother Yosef. If he dies, then it's like all 3 of them died in one day. In other words, you're going to take me down to the 3 that are already in the grave, She'olah, to the grave. And now when when I come, Yehuda is still speaking to Yosef, right? Now when I go back to my father and the child is not with me, what's going to be? His soul is tied to his soul. Nafsho kshura b'nafsho. Very deep, deep statement. Ata says the Malbin. Ata means now. When I go back to my father, and it'll be like I see him and he sees that the child is not with me and that he's dead. What does it mean? This is a Maimon Muska. What does it mean? Isn't it when the child is not with us, so he's Rakshu Eitzalavi, Mikom Nafsho Kasho. Even when the child is by his father, his soul is attached to him. How much more so the great love is going to have when he's separated from him. So automatically, when he sees that the child is not there and he's dead, right? The child is not there. He's going to die immediately. Al Tomer, don't say that. Maybe let's say tell him that he's alive, and we can tell him that listen, he's halon nisaperlo shu chai v'shu etzel moshel eretz. Why tell him that he's dead? Let's go back to my father, right? You can say, go back to your father and tell him that the king of Egypt wants him to be by him. Well, explain it to him. This it says that take your kavod as soon as we go back and he sees that the child is not here, he's not going to wait for any explanations. Take it, mibilishum shalav adurisha. He's not going to ask anything. He's going to see, hey, where's Benjamin? Right? It'll take him a couple of seconds, and that's it. He won't be able to take it. Therefore, he's going to go imavinu b'yagon sha'ola. B'zeh hishlim atayna sharoy l'shanot at mishpat hazeh mitzad she'egia mizeh ra la'achirim. So because he said you can't allow us to go back without our brother. As soon as our father sees that our brother's not there, then it's going to immediately be a tragedy all over. We won't be able to explain anything. Why? Because his soul is attached to his soul. He's so close to our brother. It's like you're taking his soul away from him. A person, you take his soul away from him, he dies immediately. There used to be somebody in Kfar Chabad that he used to work with Russian children, and he had this sort of a minibus. He used to go on and collect them and everything. Now he's a very important, influential person in Russia. And he used to have a little bus, and he used to go around and he would collect children, Russian children. He would pick them up from wherever he could. He would go to schools and convince them. He would bring them here. There used to be a school here in the Ma'on Olim, or the Chernobyl children. And he was working with the Chernobyl children. He would, this. Anyway, so it was written on there in big letters. Nafsho kashur al benafsho. His soul is attached to his soul, because especially the Rebbe had, especially for every Jew, of course, but especially for Russians, the Rebbe always worried about Russia first. The Rebbe had a tremendous influence on Russia. And the Rebbe even predicted years before it happened that the Iron Curtain would fall. And that even Gorbachev, that he was the one who brought the Iron Curtain down, he didn't know himself that it was going to happen. When the Rebbe was talking about it, that was years before he even made the decision. So the Rebbe's soul was always with Russian Jews. It was very, very important to the Rebbe, Russian Jews. And just in general, the attitude now with Putin toward the Jews in Russia is something there's never been, before. He encourages the Chabad houses and everything. And so, how long it will last? I'm sure it will last until the Mashiach comes. But in any case, this is the sentence: his soul is attached to his soul. That is true brotherly love. Very good. Okay, let's do a Mishnah. We'll go back to the Mishnayos over here. Excuse me, just one moment. I'm still looking for the place. 1 second. Oh, here it is. Here it is. My Zoom address. Okay, let's turn this off just for a moment.